Hey, I'm Wheeler. Welcome to my world. We got the Blazer rear end installed, and it did not go in as easy as the internet said it would. But stay tuned to see what I ran into and how I got around it. Okay, truck's up on jack stands. Just gonna run through this real quick for anybody that hasn't pulled an axle before. You're gonna rip the wheels off it because, well, they're extra weight and you don't need them there. We're gonna come in here, we're gonna disconnect the brake line. That guy right there, that's the one that we have a new one of. We're gonna disconnect the shocks just so that the plates are easier to work with. The bottom plates there for the axles, or for the leaf spring, sorry. We're gonna disconnect the U-bolts. Yeah, brakes, shocks, U-bolts, oh, and the drive shaft. I'm going to go ahead and pop the rear of the leaf spring out, and we're just going to drop the rear of it, or drop the whole leaf spring right on down, get it right out of our way. Then we can go ahead, drag that axle right out the back here, and slide the new one in. Here we go. So I had to cut that time lapse a little short there. I didn't get very far into it before I realized that I had a bit of an oversight. So this axle that I'm putting in the truck is out of a four-wheel drive Blazer. It's a 2000 four-door. So on those they have a yoke. On the extended cabs they have a flange. So I've got the axle out, obviously. And I took the time to remove the flange off the face of the off the pinion shaft here. We got a yoke on this one. So this guy, in case you're unaware, the extended cabs have these double cardan joints so that you can, or it's a constant velocity joint at both ends of the rear drive shaft here. Those guys cut down on the vibrations of these drive lines because we have really terrible drive line angles in these trucks and all of that. Now, I don't know if it's just the extended cabs that have these or not. I've never had one of the four doors myself because they're kind of ugly in my opinion, but I've never had one of the four-door pickups. They might have these same cardan joints. The two-wheel drive or two-door and four-door Blazers that I've had, as well as standard cab S10s, they don't have the double cardan joint. As far as I'm aware, maybe it's a year thing, I guess, I don't know. What I do know is this flange needs to go on this guy right here, because when I had called and I had asked about the drive shaft and just modifying the drive shaft, they said it would probably vibrate if I lengthened it out and got rid of the rear cardan joint, the one right here by the rear end. They said it would probably still vibrate, and I'd be like $700 to $900 into it for a custom made shaft. So rather than doing that, we're gonna go ahead and swap the yoke over, or rather the flange in place of the yoke. So in these rear ends, you've got a pinion bearing here and up in here. Between them, there's what's called a crush sleeve, and this puts a little bit of preload on the bearings, or a little bit of constant pressure. So if we over tighten that, it's going to burn the bearings up. If we don't tighten it up enough, the pinion's going to be all loose and sloppy, and it's going to take out the bearings, it's going to take out the shaft, it's going to take out the housing. We don't want that. So what my plan here is, and the reason that I had to stop and wait, was because I needed to go ahead and grab myself one of these guys. This is an inch-pound torque wrench. It's a beam type, and it's a $20 unit off Amazon. I don't know if you can see it there or not, but it doesn't even sit at 0. I can't imagine it's super accurate, but we don't really need it to be crazy accurate. What I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to, ooh, this is really hard to do with one hand. I'm going to be watching this. I'm going to do it off camera just so that I make sure it's accurate. But I'm going to watch how much resistance there is all the way around. And I kind of checked this yesterday. It was like 6 or 7 inch-pounds of resistance. We need to know that before we tear it apart, because once we loosen this off, that rolling resistance is going to go away, and that's how we determine whether or not we got enough preload on the bearing. So just a quick little service like this, where we're going to be removing the yoke, replacing the seal, and putting a new flange on. When we put it back on, we want to put it back to the same amount of rolling resistance that we had when we started. I'm going to hold this with a pry bar, and I'll tighten that down with my regular socket. I'm not going to be using any power tools because I don't have a compressor, and this is kind of delicate work, and you don't want to go past it. If we go too tight with it, like I said, we're going to burn up those bearings in the rear end, so we don't want that. All of this would be for naught, really. I'm going to tighten it down in very small increments, and once I get that same rolling resistance back, then it should be good to go, and go ahead and swap it back in. So, quick side note, taking this one off, I was able to take the nut off without power tools, and then just lightly tap this with a hammer and pop it off. Now, not every rear end is going to come apart that easily. Sometimes we'll get seized on there. Sometimes you got to heat them up with a torch, maybe hit them with some cold water to shock it and get that corrosion to break loose. I didn't have to. Again, I just really lightly worked around the back side of it with the hammer as I rotated it around to make sure that it came off nice and straight. And, well, it worked pretty good. So hopefully this one works the same way. We should be putting a puller in here, which has a bar and then a threaded rod that would push on the pinion shaft here and pull that yoke right off there. But I'm cheap, and also I'm tired of waiting on tools. It's going to work just fine. It's going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. Another quick side note. Two different seals here. There's your part numbers. This one here, too big. And I'll figure it out once I get that yoke off, if this is the one for the yoke, or for the yoke, that style, or not. But what I do know is that this guy is too big to seal up on that flange. This has a 1.7 inch inner diameter. This guy right here has a 1.5 inch inner diameter. So when you're ordering it up, make sure that you get the right one. That one fits beautifully on there. I'll put a light little oil film on there when I actually install it onto the shaft. I'm going to do that just so that when we do the rolling resistance test again afterwards, because this seal is fresh, it's going to add a little bit of rolling resistance. So that reading is going to read just a fuzz higher, like 1, maybe 2 inch-pounds higher. Putting oil in there gets rid of some of that friction, just for that initial little test. You don't want to use like dielectric grease or anything too heavy, because that'll just kind of push the seal, put pressure on the seal, and it doesn't do what you want it to. It might not work with all seals, etc. Just use a little bit of oil, it'll be fine. Because the ADHD is strong today. Get that out of the way. I've got the perches lined up here pretty close to each other, even. The width, I had mentioned this before, but these are 1.5 inch spacers that I've got on here, and that is a rough comparison. That's a rough idea, rather, as to how much wider this thing's really going to be. And we also have to keep in mind that we got to put a rotor on this, so it's going to be another 1/2 inch further out for the wheel mounting surface. So when I measure these, this guy is, I want to say 54 1/4 or so is what I ended up getting. 54 1/2 is what it says online. And then this one here, it's really easy to measure. That one's 50 1/2, or 58 1/2 rather, and then we got about a 1/2 inch per rotor here. So It'll be 58.5 plus another inch or so, so 59.5. It is going to be considerably wider, and we are definitely not going to need those spacers in there. My concern is going to be whether or not we have enough clearance in here to actually clear the fenders. Can't let things like fear and common sense slow you down, right? Okay, the yoke is off. The seal is out. And, well, this seal, the 17407, this has to be for like an 8.5 inch rear end or something, because it's sloppy on that too. So, I don't know what the hell this seal is for. I don't know why I bought it. I don't know what I did, but I didn't get the right thing. This one fits very nicely on both the yoke and the flange type. So that's the guy you want there. To remove this, I just went around the outside and kind of got underneath it with a screwdriver. There's it removed, and there's one with the seal in it. You can kind of see the little ridge right there where a guy would be able to get a screwdriver in there, pound it in with the hammer. Don't use a screwdriver you like, because you're probably going to bend the tip. I worked my way all the way around the face of it, and then I just kind of hit in that way, all the way around it until the corrosion broke free around. And we're going to go ahead, drive this guy in. I don't have a seal driver that's going to fit over top of that pinion shaft, so I'm probably going to use, I don't know, drift like this or something. I'm just going to slowly work my way around the outside edge here and drive it in nicely. So if you don't have a little bit of sealant, I think all seals are going to come with this now, but if it doesn't have that red stuff on there, or a little rubber bit like that, even with the rubber bit like that, I would still put a little bit of silicone on there. A super thin film, just to give it something to seal against that housing, right? So I'm going to go ahead and drive this guy in there. I'm going to get the flange put on, and we'll get this thing set up and ready to put in. Alright, it finally feels like we're getting somewhere. Flange is on. New seal is in there. I said I wasn't going to use a driver. I lied. That was an absolute pain in the ass to do it without a driver, so I went and I grabbed myself a socket. All you got to do is grab your 2 1/8 inch socket. That's the perfect size to fit on there and drive that bad Sally in, because everyone has one of those laying around. Or you can go on Amazon, spend 10 bucks, and probably get a nice seal driver that just works. Regardless, I had to reuse this nut here. That is supposed to be a one-time use nut. I couldn't find one. Don't know if it's because I'm in Canada, but online it says not available. All the parts stores say that they don't have one, doesn't list one, etc. And I'm not going to go pay $80 or whatever the hell GM wants for that, if they even still have it. So, red Loctited the shit out of that, and we ran her back on. As far as rotational resistance goes here, it's nice and smooth feeling. As you're tightening it down, make sure that you do give the pinion a couple rotations every so often, just to make sure that those pinions or those bearings are setting in place nicely and they're all straight and happy. But there's no catching, no binding, it feels good, there's no up and down play. And according to my $25 wrench from Amazon there, we've got about 2.5 inch-pounds more resistance than we had before. Again, that should be because I got a brand new seal in there. We're gonna hope that I'm right. This thing's ready to go in finally, so I guess let's get at it. Alright, got it back on the ground, got the brake lines done. I ended up having to run a whole new line from the firewall to the rear axle here. That sucked, but well, I guess I got a new line. Brakes are bled, everything's all torqued up, and I got the battery charging up real quick. That's almost done, so I'll get that unplugged and we can take this thing for a test drive, see if it was all worth it. Alright guys. Hope I did that right. Let's see what happens. It's not crunching, it's moving. This is good. Ooh, the brakes feel way better already. Way happier with that pedal feel. Ooh, ooh. Gears are feeling better. Oh yeah, I can already tell I'm gonna be happy with these gears. Oh, those brakes feel so good. Oh my god. Not even getting on them hard and I can already tell that it's better. The roads are pretty cold today, so I don't really know what we'll be able to test or see here, but we're gonna give it a shot. Hopefully it doesn't slide around too much. Again, with the locker mod that we did there, it should lock at high speeds, which we're not really going to be able to test until manual transmission and whatnot, which will come. Ooh, maybe we can do a little bit of a pull here. Woo. Definitely spinning both tires. It is definitely too cold though. I did feel a little bit of a wheel hop there at the end. I do have plans for some DIY Caltrax later on. That's going to be a ways down the road, but I'm excited to get the sway bar on this thing and see what this does in the corners. I'm really enjoying this new rear end. I like the gearing, I'm happy with that. I like the brakes, they feel good. It's not making any funny noises, it's not crunching, grinding, nothing like that. So, all in all, really, mission accomplished, I would say. Kind of did everything that I wanted it to do. The sway bar should take care of the other things I needed to do. And like I said, we'll figure out Caltrax later on and whatnot. One step at a time, you know? I wanted to finish off this video with a burnout, but unfortunately it hasn't been that long since I've gotten my last 7-day impound here, so we're gonna just take a rain check on that, and I guess that's all I got for you guys today. I know it gets a little bit sideways, I know it spins both tires, gearing feels way better, all of that. I'm happy. That's it for this time. Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys later.